Hello, welcome to the Building Legacies podcast. I'm your host or one of the hosts of the podcast, Eric. Thanks for joining us. Got my co-host Bridget Smith with us today. How you doing, Bridget?
Doing awesome.
That's good. That's good to hear. Got my brother Kai. How you doing, Kai?
Oh man, all day X, I'm doing good, man.
BX.
I'm fair. I'm gonna say that. I'm not gonna say all the way good. I'm fair.
Yeah. You're well. Let's go with
I'm
that.
well.
Okay, that's good to hear. Yeah, we got an interesting subject matter for you guys today, and what with the topic that Bridget actually brought to us, which was very interesting. It's called "What's Stopping You," right? And when she brought that to our attention as far as the topic of discussion for today, which was very good because it's so related to what we do here on this podcast. You know what I mean? We want to motivate as well as provide information, but we want to give you tools, right? To work with psychologically, right? Because there are things that like the stopping individuals from achieving their goals or their vision they have for themselves. So I thought that was an interesting topic. So we're just gonna get right into it.
Yes, I love the topic. So yeah, we're talking to all you guys out there. So I know there's someone out there that's thinking about going back to school, pursuing that degree, that master's degree, that PhD degree. There's someone out there thinking about starting their own business. There's someone out there thinking about getting into real estate, starting to invest in stocks and bonds. And so the big question is, what's stopping you? And so I want to say that I had read something the other day, and it talked about the three enemies of success. The first one they talked about is the comfort zone. So too many of us, we are comfortable where we are. So essentially, we're staying comfortable. We may be at that job, and we're like, okay, I'm at this comfortable job. I have a decent salary. I'm getting benefits. So you're comfortable. So that stops you from pushing yourself to go further. The second enemy is learned helplessness. So you believe that you can't achieve something. So you may start something and you give up very easily because you're like, okay, well, this is not for me. I can't achieve this. And I always go back to President Obama when he was running for election. So he made history. He became the first African American president. And so that has never occurred in our history. And
Right.
so if he did not have that belief in himself, he would not have never ran if he didn't have
Right.
that belief. So it starts with having that belief in yourself. And because he had that belief, he ran and he did what was needed to be done, and he eventually won. Not just one term, but two terms. So we have to start believing in ourselves. And then the third enemy of success they talk about is the path of least resistance. So we're always opting to go like the easiest route, and that can hinder our progress towards success. So choosing the easiest route, the option that requires the least amount of effort, that's not going to help you to get to where you want to be, and that hinders you from achieving what it is that you're looking to achieve. So these three enemies, we need to hone in on them and give it a lot of consideration because these are some critical factors that's really stopping people from achieving what they want to achieve in life.
Right. And as I think about it, and that was interesting because I thought it was going to be three different ones. But
So what did you think they were going to be? Just curious to know.
thought, well, from the school of thought I come from, right, we're taught that fear, right? Fear is one, is the enemy to progress and success. Also, like you said, comfortability or complacency, you know what I mean? That's the enemy to progress. You know what I mean? Because once you become complacent at whatever station of life, that's it. There's no more progress beyond that. You know what I mean? But fear, and I'm sure you're familiar with this acronym, and maybe you too, Bridget. We used to talk coming up back in the days. Fear is an acronym, right? And it stands for false expectations appearing real, right? And I remember the older brothers used to, feed that to me, right? So, and that's true because we more scared of what we think is going to happen versus what actually happens. It's an expectation, right? Because you fear something that's really non-existent. You know what I mean? Not to say that it's not a possibility, right? But it's not a current reality for you. You know what I mean? You may have seen it with some other people, so you have this expectation, right? And for me, I think that a level of fear is healthy, right? You know what I mean? With no fear, it's like uh, you just be reckless per se. But the thing is, you need to conquer that, right? And channel that energy. You know what I mean? And say, okay, I look at it from this standpoint when I'm pursuing an endeavor, right? I say, okay, you got possibilities, then you got probabilities, right? I don't get hung up so much on the possibility of adverse event. I look at the probability of it, right? I say, okay, what's the probability? Okay, I know that I could start a business in whatever industry and this could fail. But what is the probability of that happening? You know what I mean? So once I weigh that, I'm going for it because I know the probability is in my favor. At least that's the way I feel. You know what I mean?
So you're looking at the glass as half full versus it being half empty.
Exactly. I don't get stuck on the possibility of something happening. I look at the probability of it happening. And then once I weigh it in the balance and the odds are in my favor, I'm going for it. You know what I mean? And I think it's wise, for people to adopt that mentality. You know what I mean? Don't let the possibility of something happening deter you, right? What is the probability of that? Because a lot of the times, and from my own personal experience, I've had expectations of something happening and it never happened. You know what I'm saying? So you let something that never, or the small probability of it happening, prevent you from pursuing something with a greater reward. You know what I mean? So it's that risk reward ratio. So when I thought when you were mentioning the three, I thought fear was going to be one, but it's a multitude of reasons that prevent someone from, achieving what they want.
Absolutely. And that, go ahead, Bridget.
Oh, sorry to cut you, Stan. Yes. So, I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that, Eric, because fear is the real invisible enemy. And so we got to keep in mind too that recognizing that fear is real, and we all going to experience fear. And even people that go after their dreams and accomplish what they want to accomplish, they have that fear. But despite having that fear, they don't let that fear stop them from taking that first step, and they continue and continue. But they don't let it stop them. But the people who don't go after their dreams, they let fear stop them in their tracks, and they never go after what it is that they're looking to go after.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, and for me, that's the difference of being successful and being average, right? And it's not a disrespect saying being average. It goes into what both of you guys were saying. Now, the glass is half full. I always see that and always saw that even when I was younger, that the glass is half full. But it's a reality. Both of them is the reality. It looks half empty to somebody if they perceive it that way, but it's half full to those who perceive it another way. Right. Now the audacity of hope, right? I love when you said that because I love that book, The Audacity of Hope, and I love that title because it says the audacity to believe, the audacity to think or to be hopeful to think that something that has never happened or been done before can happen, that you can aspire to be more. And that is what a lot of people, we have to remember that becoming an entrepreneur, and I'm gonna get back on topic of what's stopping you, but becoming an entrepreneur and trying to go off on your own is not for the faint of heart, right? It's not for somebody who think that it's going to be a get rich quick scheme or that they're going to see the rewards overnight. In actuality, when you do go off on your own, you're going to work more hours. You're going to put in that extra overtime that you've been putting in before. It's just going to be for yourself. and
Mm.
you're not going to see the rewards for a short period of time. So you got to be strong enough to wait for that, to ride that wave, because it's going to get bad and it's going to get ugly and it's going to get hard before you even start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. So when you talk about complacency, what is stopping you? What is stopping people from moving forward to reach their goals, their dreams, and to reach the things that they want to be better in their life? And that resistance, that fear and that resistance, the comfortability of being in a position where they are, I see it every day of my life. It's almost like I'm the oddball out. And I get kind of upset because it's like it almost, I'm being honest with you. Sometimes you got to change your circle, because if you be
Absolutely.
around certain people that think in a certain kind of way, you be around 9 people, chances are you're going to be the 10th who think that way and behave that way.
Right.
Vice versa for being financially free. You hang around 9 people that have things going on, chances are you'll be the 10th. But the idea of thinking that you want to start your own business, the idea of thinking that you want to do something on your own, that fear and that complacency breaks them down. And
Right.
it makes them, and even if, it may not be a big paycheck that you're making. 80 something percent of Americans is living paycheck to paycheck, and they're one check from being in the poorhouse,
Mm.
right? A lot of people don't have months of savings like they say you should have.
Right.
I'm go off on a tangent, but to say what is stopping you, what's stopping you from becoming successful, and you have to realize that if you don't take the first step, then you're not going to be able to reach the goals and the dreams that you aspire to have. Les Brown, when I listen to him, all of us are familiar with Les Brown, the motivational speaker.
Yeah.
He quotes a lot of people, and one guy he quoted, I forgot his name. It might be Zig Ziglar, or it might not be, but it's
Mhm.
the grave. The graveyard is where dreams go to die, right? Because most people who have ideas, who have dreams, never get to make them a reality, right? Because of the fear, because of the complacency,
Right.
because of being that resistance. They don't want to go the path of being, the resistance. So what is stopping you from taking that first step? And I would implore everyone that we're not financial advisors, like Bridget said last week, but I would implore that the only way you can be free is to own your own. You have got to develop a way that you can own your own. I don't care if it's a book that you write. I don't care if it's a script. I don't care if you got a side hustle. If it's yours, it's
Clothing
yours.
line.
Right.
Hmm.
That's right.
Yep, absolutely. And I agree with you wholeheartedly, Stanley. And like you said, that you have to take that first step, although you cannot see that entire staircase, And so,
Right.
and
And that's the definition of faith. I don't mean to cut you off,
yeah,
but the definition of having faith, where you can't see the whole staircase, but you
hmm
still taking steps.
right.
That's faith. And faith is known by its works. But yeah, I agree.
Right. And you got to build that, have that courage, So building that courage is like building a muscle. Just how you exercise and you build your muscles, you got to build that muscles of courage for you to take that first step too. And like Stanley
Mhm.
said too, your circle, it might mean that you may have to leave that circle and get to another circle that people's going to push you, for you to, go higher and go after what it is that you feel wholeheartedly that you can achieve. So when you're staying around just average people, like he said, you're around 5 average people, you're gonna be that sixth average person. So you want to leave that group and you want to go into another group that's extraordinary, that's going after their dreams. They might, like Stanley said, looking to start their own clothing line, that's looking to start, to write a book. So you want to be around people like this, because that's what's going to encourage you to go after your dreams. And then also too, you got to protect your mind. You got to
Mm-hmm.
protect and feed your mind. You got to stand guard at the door of your mind, because you
Mhm.
may share your idea with someone and they're like, are you crazy? You're gonna quit your job? Oh, you can't
Uh-huh.
write no book. You never wrote a book before. You can't be an author, And so that's shooting down your dreams right there. And so,
Mhm.
when you kind of feeling like if you can do it or not, and then you're gonna go let someone else know what you want to do, and they're gonna shoot down your dreams. That's gonna make you not want to go after it. So you want to be around someone that's gonna say, you know what? Well, Stan, you never written a book before, but you know what? There's always a first time for everyone.
Absolutely.
You know what? If you feel that you can do this, go after it. You know, I know you have it, and you want someone that's going to be able to push you. So you want
Right.
to be around people like this. And remember too, what you listen to the longest becomes the strongest. So you got to be feeding yourself this in your mind as well too. Say, you know what? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. And like you said, you take that first step today, take that second step tomorrow, and you just keep on. You keep on. You don't stop, and you will eventually get to where you're trying to, get. As long as you don't give up.
Right.
Giving up is not an option.
Yeah, that's not an option.
Yes, yes. Definitely.
Right. And I just want to add on, like I said, but what's stopping you? You know, it's a multitude of things that could prevent a person from even taking the first step. And we mentioned fear. And I think fear is like almost, if not number one, at least up there, because some people, they so fearful of failure, right? Um, Embarrassment if they're whatever they're doing doesn't work. They fear being shamed. Because we sometimes we be amongst people like y'all mentioned that they don't see your vision and their vision is limited. So if you embark on something and then it doesn't succeed, they say, look, see, I told you, you know what I mean? And as opposed to saying, you know what, you'll get them next time. You know what I mean? Lick your
Words of encouragement. Absolutely.
lick your wounds, get back on the horse, keep it moving. You have those individuals out there that'll say, look, see, I told you, they be whispering behind your back, right? That element is amongst us, and it's a shame, right? So it's that fear of failure, but also it's that fear of success. And I remember when I was reading the book, because every time you hear fear, you hear fear of failure, right? And it's kind of understandable. We heard fear of success. It seemed counterintuitive. Like, why would someone fear success? You know what I mean? Because with success comes a lot of other things, right? Responsibilities. You know what I mean? And some people say, you know what? I don't want all of that. You know what I mean? I've personally heard people say that about other individuals that are doing well. They say, man, they successful, but
they got a lot of problems.
they got a lot of problems. I don't want that. Like they stress out. You know what I mean? They are targeted. There's so much come with that. So it's a fear of that as well. So I said, okay, that makes sense. Because like I said, initially it was counterintuitive. But yeah, so the fear of investing, with certain endeavors requires a capital investment. And some people, they like, listen, I'm not putting this money up with the potential that I could risk it and lose it. Right? So there's that factor. I know people like that as well. They like, listen, man, I don't want to invest this money and then lose it, but you got to think about how else, are you going to achieve this goal? You have to be willing to take risks, but calculated risks, right? And
So if
not
you don't invest it, you're never gonna achieve that if you don't
right.
invest it. It's
Right.
gonna be so. Yeah.
Exactly. You're guaranteed to fail at that
Right.
point. But
Absolutely.
at least if you get on the mound, I'm gonna use a baseball analogy, but you on the mound and you got your bat, and at least you take a swing at it, there's a chance that you get a home run. But if you're sitting in the dugout, scared to come on the mound with your bat, you
That's
guarantee
action. Yes.
that's a guaranteed failure. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
And you
So
gotta know that winning comes with a price, and it's just up to you. What price are you willing to pay to win?
To win.
absolutely. What sacrifices are you willing to make? You know what I mean? And that separates the winners from the losers, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
What are you willing to sacrifice to achieve your goals? Because no success comes without sacrifice.
Right. Right.
You can't have it both ways.
Right.
And,
And failure is going to be part of the equation. And,
right,
you can read books on top of books about success and winning. And it always talks about the more I fail, the faster I get to success. So
right,
failure is part of the formula. So you're going to fail, and then you're going to
You're going
learn
to
from
fail.
those failures and those mistakes. That's
Absolutely.
how you become better and you
mm,
improve. So that's part of the formula.
Absolutely, and also, so when we get into the topic, what are you waiting for? And it's to get in the game. What are you waiting for to get in the game, right? No's. I've done a lot of sales jobs that I had. You have to be able to realize that you may get 100 no's. You may get 100 no's, but you might get one or two yeses. That's what you want to bank on. You want to bank on that, okay, I've got denied 10, 15, 20 times is a yes right around the corner. So
Right.
we know with building legacies, we trying to motivate and inspire people, and we trying to tell them that you can have a different mindset. Not that there's nothing wrong with, because success can mean different things to different people, right?
Right.
But
Right.
I come from a family of middle class working people,
Right.
and it was because of them that shaped and molded a lot of the qualities that I have right now. So fancy things didn't it didn't amaze them. They didn't care about fancy cars or this, but they was working on getting homes. They was working on having a bank account. Those are the things that I clung to when I seen them doing things to provide for the family. So we ain't never knocking somebody that's doing what they're doing. We're just trying to inspire people to say, if you do have a desire, if you do have a dream, don't let anybody dissuade you. And I'm gonna tell you, you guys, no matter how positive our talk or how it seems like I got it together, there's sometimes where my immediate circle, without them even knowing, somehow took away a little bit of my bravado because it was like everybody's talking about working. Get you a job, working, find you a good job, find you a better job, working. The minute I start talking about, hey, I want to do it, man, get you a job and relax. And when you hear that from so many people, it start making you think like,
Right.
maybe you bugging out. Maybe
Right.
you
If you're
are
doing
doing
something
this
wrong.
right. And let me start doing that. Let me go ahead. Y'all found a better job today. Oh, good. Okay. I think I'm going to get a second one. Then I had to snap out of it. Like, even with the second one, I'm no further ahead than I was with the first one. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what is stopping you from taking the first step? And the barrier to entry is low, not in everything, but to a lot of things. This new social media era, this new YouTube era, any information that you're looking for should help you wipe away some of the fears that you have. If you, whatever you're looking on, you can look it up and the information is readily available for you. And you take one step at a time, and you jot it down, create a vision board, and you knock those joints off one at a time, one at a time. Yeah.
And
Right.
you kept talking about all these no's. So I don't know if you know what the acronym for no stands for, but I
No, let
learned
me
this.
know now.
I learned this some years ago. It's like my next opportunity. So when you get these no's, that
Yeah.
means that's your next opportunity. So you got a no for that, but that means you're going on to your next opportunity. So that's
Right.
what no
Absolutely. I
stands
like
for.
that.
Yes.
Right. I like that. Yeah, I've never heard that one before, but
No, me neither. That's good.
I'm gonna
Yes.
keep that to memory.
Yes.
Right.
I'm gonna steal that one. That's yours?
No, it's not mine. It's not original, but I've heard it, throughout the years. So
Right. It makes a lot of sense because it makes me think of Jay-Z, right? And Dame Dash. I'm sure most of our listeners, viewers, you're familiar with these guys. I remember reading a story about them, how they started Rockaware, their clothing brand, right? They were initially trying to get a deal with Iceberg. Iceberg was a clothing brand that was kind of popular late 90s, early 2000s, right? Jay-Z was wearing it a lot. He went to the company for some kind of partnership saying, okay, I wear your clothes. Other people are wearing it because of me. Let's do business. They said no, right? So what that did was it inspired them to say, you know what? We're going to start our own, right? And Rockaware came as a result of that no, because had they got that deal with Iceberg, that would have been cool. They would have been probably making whatever money. They got a deal with a major brand. It wouldn't have occurred to them, probably. I don't know, but what I'm saying is, and actually, according to Dame Dash, he was like, he's glad that they said no.
No,
You know what
right.
I'm saying? Because they would have got comfortable with whatever money they was making with that deal. Say, you know what? We don't need them. Because they realized that, you know what? People are wearing that brand because of you, Jay-Z, which was the flagship artist of that label. So you know what? Let's create our own, put the brand on you, right? And they'll wear that too. Whatever you're wearing, they're gonna wear. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So it was that no that inspired them to create a successful brand. You know what I mean? So that it made me think of that when you mentioned that. But also, what's stopping a lot of people too is ignorance, right? Because I know a lot of people with they have the motivation, right? They have the character, the energy. They just don't have the information. You know what I'm saying? They ignorant to a lot of things and how to get started. Like you starting an LLC. Some people think that's more complicated than that really is. Just starting an LLC. It sounds like something. Now, obviously, you create the LLC, then you have to, whatever company, you can build equity in the company. But the actual paperwork of starting an LLC is nothing. You can do that in minutes. You know what I mean? So I think it's ignorance, right? And even something as simple. I was speaking with someone.
We have to have a segment on that too, where we just showing people how to take the steps to start their
Hey,
LLC.
because I talk to people, they think it's harder than it really is. Like they think when you think LLC, you think IBM or Microsoft. You're like, I can't say
I
that.
wish it was like IBM and Microsoft, but yeah.
They're probably not used to the term as well too, so they're thinking that it's something more than what it actually is.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's ignorance. And
So that's
also,
my LLC.
right. I was speaking with someone and I was giving them information on the purchase of a home, like a primary home, right? And because I went through that process of purchasing a home, a primary home, right? So, and they think it's more complicated than what it is. Obviously, you got to have your ducks in a row. But I told them from my experience, once you got your ducks in a row, right, as far as your credit, you have savings, you have your tax returns, and whatever that they require, right? They want to give you that house more than you want it. You know what I'm saying? Because especially these lenders, I'm talking about it it's harder than what it actually. I thought that at one time until I've learned. So it's ignorance. I think is a major enemy to success as well. You know what I mean? You conquer ignorance, and you conquer ignorance with knowledge. You know what I mean? Because that's the like I said, the opposite of ignorance, which is knowledge. Acquire the knowledge, buckle down. You maybe have to consult with someone, read books, whatever it is you need to do, but you want to obtain as much knowledge with about whatever it is you are choosing to do. So I know ignorance is definitely one major thing that's stopping a lot of people as well.
Absolutely, and it's just that one step at a time. So like the title is, "What has stopped you?" Listen, don't burden yourself with everything at one time. Don't think you have to be everything at one time and you have to wear every hat and you got to cross every T and dot
Or
every
know it
I.
all.
It's that
Hmm.
first step that you take. If, let's say, you write in a book, the thought comes in the mind of the characters and the story, and when you write it on a paper, it never comes out what you thought, right? It doesn't look ugly when you write it down. It's like, this is not what was in my mind. It doesn't make sense. But at least you put pen to paper. It started with the thought, it started with the idea, and then you put it into existence, and you put it into practice. And that's just with that. Let's say you wanted to start an online business. What are the steps to start an online business? And you take that one day at a time. On your time off, when you got downtime, when you get off work, you got downtime. On the weekend, instead of going, everybody likes to party and all that. I'm partied out, right? You partied out, but if that's what you want to do, but sometimes take time for yourself and take that one step. How do I start a business? And just read that. And that's how you're going to get on the goal to success and be motivated to become an independent
Yeah,
entrepreneur.
I agree with that. And if I can just talk about a little bit about when I was on my journey, I know that when I initially started and then being surrounded with my circle that was working, and if I talked about, hey, you know what, I want to leave this job, I want to leave nursing and do real estate, and they looked at me like, are you crazy? You spend all that time in school, doing nursing, getting your license. Nurses make good income, you get good health benefits. Like, why would you leave that for real estate? And had I listened to, like when I said talking about you got to stand guard to the door of your mind, had I listened to, I would not have went after my dream and my goals, And so my main thing was that I was looking for more so for time freedom, you know.
Right.
So when you have a job and you're working for someone, you're not going to have that time freedom. And when you exchange your hours for dollars, you're not going to have that financial freedom as well too. And so
Mm-hmm.
despite them discouraging me, I still did the opposite, so they was going this way and I went the opposite way. And so I wasn't sure if I was going to achieve what I was looking to achieve, but I didn't stop. I just kept kept going because I had like this burning desire that I felt there was so much more to life,
Mm-hmm.
than what I was doing. So I felt that I had, reached my peak in nursing, and now it was time for me to pivot and do something different. And so, because I didn't stop, I eventually, did achieve it. But when you're going through the process, sometimes you may have that doubt and wonder if it's going to really happen. But if you stay with it, you stay with it, you will get there. You
That's
will.
right.
We don't give up. Yeah. And so, don't let that fear blind you. That's what I would have to say. Fall asleep with a dream and wake up with a purpose. And go after that purpose.
That's right.
Go after it. Yeah. Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. And I was thinking about, like, but also I was talking to a friend of mine, and it's so many things, man, that hinders a person. And I think all originates from fear, but there's a term called analysis paralysis, right? And you got some people, right? They get caught in the analysis aspect of the endeavor, or the research aspect of the endeavor. They never get to the actual thing, right? They'll read 2 books, attend 5 seminars, do consultations, but still don't feel adequate enough. Okay, I need to read another book. I need another seminar. I need another consultation.
They don't know enough. They
Right.
don't.
You just don't feel you know enough. So you get paralyzed in that stage of the process. You know what I mean? And that stems from fear as well. You feel like, man, I don't know enough. You know everything about the subject. You know what I mean? And so that's another thing that touches a lot of people. So there's so many things you have to conquer on your journey. Because you can say, okay, I'm taking this step. Okay, I'm going to be proactive. I'm going to start doing my due diligence. And you never make it past that stage. You know what I'm saying? Due diligence. At some point, you have to, for lack of a better term, you got to pull a trigger. You have to. You have to jump out there.
That's the term. No, go ahead.
You have to pull a trigger, right? And you got to spread your wings and fly. For instance, like we know with like with birds, when they're in their nest, right? And they want to train the young bird to fly. They push it out the nest. You know what I mean? Either you're gonna fly or you're gonna die. And obviously, we don't see a bunch of them on the floor, right? They start flapping their wings and going. You know what I mean? So you have to jump out there. You'll make it because your opportunity is to sink or swim, right? So you have to figure out you'll swim. You know what I mean? So at some point, get out of the due diligence stage of the process
Mm-hmm.
and start getting busy. You know what I mean?
And Eric, when you're talking about the analysis paralysis, so I know some years back when I used to go to a monthly trainings with one of my former coaches, and at the end of each class, he would have us recite these billionaire principles. And one of them was he would always say, just know that you would never know all there is to know.
Yeah.
Like when you want to start something, people they tend to not go forward with it because they feel like they don't know all the answers to it.
Right.
And so he will always have us recite that. Listen, you're gonna never know all there is to know.
Right.
You're gonna know everything. So don't let that stop you from going forward and making that move because you're not gonna know everything.
Right.
Look, I was one of those people as well. Like my wife used to tell me, I'd be on the computer, man, all night, man. After I worked all day, I'm on there all night long. I mean, if I'm talking about the dog, this for a year, or 2, 3 years straight. And at
Mm-hmm.
one time, I got a little offended, just like, you still on the computer, huh? Like, okay, like, when you gonna get off the computer? Like, when you gonna take what you've been learning and go implement it? You see?
Right.
And it's like, and like when I said it's not for the faint of heart, you can't have, thin skin as well. You got to have thick skin, because sometimes you can't take offense to what people is trying to tell you. Things happen for a reason, and if somebody tell you something and it doesn't seem like they're trying to insult you, they really just telling you like, okay, you've been talking about this for a while now. Like, what
Mm-hmm.
steps have you taken to get this done? And people like to see things more than they hear it. So at some point you get to be, you sound like a broken record. Oh, I'm getting ready to do this. This is gonna be big. I'm telling you, when once I get this going and get that going, and like, man, you've been saying
No,
you're
but
gonna hustle for years. You didn't hustle. You haven't hustled yet. So you gotta pull the trigger, like you said, man.
yeah. And when you're talking about that, Stanley, what comes to mind is a book that Steve Harvey wrote, and it's called Jump. And this, I'm not sure if you guys read it
I
before,
haven't read it.
Familiar with
but
that.
he said you just gotta let go and you just gotta jump. You know,
Right.
title of the book. So you just gotta get out there and just jump and take action.
Right. And you'll be surprised at the results of just taking action and jumping. Because once you get out there, naturally with anything you fear, right? I used to do public speaking, right? And no matter how many times I've done it, I get the same butterflies in my stomach. And I used to speak in front of like some real serious people, right?
Are you
And
getting butterflies now?
yeah, every time we do this podcast, it's feeling, right?
Yeah.
My point is, once we get going, it dissipates.
Right, and you're still doing it.
Yeah, and because one thing about me, I conquer that feeling. I keep going in spite of it.
Right.
Now, and I remember like public speaking is like, or just from a like a mass perspective, it's like a fear that a lot of people have. It's like number two after like drowning or something like that. So,
Yeah.
so naturally, you get in front of people now. It's not just any people. I used to speak in front of guys that were very knowledgeable, serious. They don't got time for you to be talking, getting up there, wasting their time, right? So it's an intimidation process as well there, right? So every time I have to get up there and speak to the brothers, I get the same feeling. Even walking to the rostrum, right? I get a feeling. And once I get up there, I face my fear. And it goes away. As soon as I start talking, it's like the fear goes away. I don't know if that's just me or if anybody can relate to that. Then I'm in my bag. I start going. They gotta shut me up at some point. They after a while they're like, all right, well, dude, that's enough, yo. We get the point. You know what I'm saying? But my point is, I'm a personality type that I I go in a direction in spite of any fear or hesitation. That's just always been me. That's something I noticed about myself. And also I want to speak on something. I know we getting down to the wire. Something that's another thing that's stopping people that we have to address. You know what I mean? I think some people just lazy, right? And we have to acknowledge that, right? And when I was thinking about that earlier, I was thinking about all of the good, positive things, the things that kind of resonated. Laziness is an issue too, right? So now people have ideas, but don't have necessarily the motivation to. They'll sit on the couch all day talking about what they want and what they want to do, right? And it may not even necessarily be anything monetarily. Everybody don't want to be rich billionaires. And then you just want to, I don't know, you might want to run a 5K. You know what I'm saying? But are you training for it? What are you doing? Right? You're being lazy. So you'll see that same person on the couch day after day haven't took one step toward any preparation. You know what I mean? So that's another thing that, and this is a human experience. We
Mm-hmm.
have to get that laziness out of our system, get motivated, be inspired, and go after it, whatever it may be. You know, whatever your goal may be, like I mentioned and like I mentioned earlier, it don't have to be anything monetarily. You know what I mean? I know that's something we focus on this channel um, a lot, but it don't, you know, success come in multiple ways. It's how you define success, because whatever your goal may be, it may be just to lose weight, whatever it may be. Take the first step toward it, and you'd be surprised at the outcome.
Absolutely. I think that's a good takeaway, for our closing. So
Right.
taking action is what's going to help you combat, that fear. Is taking action. Like you said.
Taking action.
I
Absolutely.
agree. I agree. So this was another wonderful episode with two amazing people. We want to.
Three amazing people.
Yeah, three.
Well,
Or
thank
two
you.
of us.
I appreciate that.
Include
Make
yourself
sure
in.
you like, subscribe, and share to the Building Legacies podcast. Please remember, if you're referring this to a friend or a family member or on your website, make sure when you look for Building Legacies, it's BLDNG Legacies, BLDNG Legacies. And like, subscribe, and share and comment. We need for you to comment. Let us know if you like the podcast. What can we do different? What other information you'd like us to provide you? And we got a lot more coming in store. So we want to thank everyone for tuning in to Building Legacy Podcast. And as always, we come with love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Peace. Thanks for watching.
Here we go. I'm stopping.